Welcome to GabTalks, where we provide tools, tips, and techniques to help your life and business be easier, better, and faster. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Welcome to our next episode of GabTalks Success Tips from Experts. Today, I am bringing to you an awesome expert with a very interesting story and a unique twist on how to do business and get your message out there. And that's what he does to help people. And in fact, when I first met him, that's one of the things he did to help me. So I'm excited to bring to you my friend, Erickson. Hey, how's it going today?
Good, Gabrielle. How are you? Good to be with you
I,
today.
yeah, I am very excited. You helped me when I was in transition from my old life and career and into this Gab Talks. I have a solid group of about 12 to 15 people that were very, very instrumental in helping me change and pivot careers, and you were one of them. So thank you, and thank you for letting me interview you. So speaking of, will you share with our audience about your expertise?
Yeah, it's briefly just two things. I help individuals and companies to monetize their business ideas. And I also work with companies in the training and learning and development space.
And what does that look like?
A lot of people, when they think about an idea, they start thinking about marketing. But there's so many things that they need to think about before they start marketing and throwing money into marketing. There's identifying their niche, identifying if they have a marketable product or service. So there's a lot of things that they need to think about before they start pushing the button.
Absolutely. And in my previous career, one of the things I did when I started my own business is I did what I called throw the spaghetti at the wall. And it turned out it worked because I had 25 years experience. So it was very easy. But then I found myself catching up to where I was all the time. If I'd had someone like you, we could have planned and systematized and processed out in advance or as we were getting started. And that's really not all of what you do, but that's a very important component of how you work with people and help them.
Yeah, I think it's important always to keep it simple and to keep it basic. 'Cause if you throw too much at someone at one time, they get overwhelmed.
Yeah. So you yourself had several transitions and have a very interesting background that brought you into your expertise that you have today.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to sell greeting cards door to door. So this goes back a long time. I have found out that I enjoyed sales. That led me into various entrepreneurial activities when I was young. I grew up very poor. My parents didn't have a lot, and so if I wanted something, I had to go earn the money. And so everything from the bike that I rode to middle school to I wanted a waterbed one time, so I saved up enough money for a waterbed. That kind of led into college. Yeah, I was the advertising manager for the local newspaper, and got a call one day from a business, a small business, a general store. They had a laundromat and had a car wash, and they wanted someone to come down and evaluate their business. And they called me up and said, "Hey, we heard that you could help us."
Oh.
Well, not knowing a whole lot about analyzing businesses, I took my school books. I did a little bit of research. The internet was still not very popular back then, so I actually had to read books. And and I went down there, and long story short, helped out the business. And I found out that I had a talent to be able to analyze and to help businesses to grow.
So along this path, you helped a bunch of businesses and you had your own business. And then you had a crazy situation that happened to you that really influenced and impacted the direction that you took things in.
Yeah, in probably like 2000, 2001, I took a seven-figure loss. I actually had to declare bankruptcy. It was pretty devastating. However, there was a lot that I had learned from it. I think what happens a lot of times when we get into business, we start doing things unconsciously and we forget the model that we set up to begin with. And I think that was certainly one of the things that was my demise, if you will, to me having to start all over again.
Well, the other thing is the model you set up to begin with is a starting point. You still have to build, and that's a foundation. You still need to build your skyscraper on top of that.
Absolutely. It always starts, and one of the things that people don't realize is that concrete does crack over time, right? You have a solid foundation, you build it, it's concrete foundation. The foundation can crack, and
Yeah.
people don't realize that.
And the same is true in business.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that we ask our experts is about their influence and their inspiration, because our audience likes to know how they too can be inspired and be influenced in their own personal growth towards expertise. And you had two very distinct, interesting influences that you were going to share with us today.
Yeah, probably the one big one for me was a gentleman by the name of Henry Ford, if you don't know who he is. But when he started back in the early 1900s, he started off learning to fix a watch. And because he saw someone's watch not working, and that built onto other things and being more intrigued. But one of the things that was always intriguing for me was that Henry Ford didn't care about competition. One of the cool things that I really enjoyed about his story is that during this time period was during the recession, and many people were getting paid just awful wages. And one of his things is that I'm going to pay all my people the best because they're going to work harder when I pay them better than anybody else does. And so he really didn't care about what other people were doing. He just cared about what he wanted to do, putting out a quality product and being the person he wanted to be. And one of the things I really liked as well is that he was a great family man. And I think that's really important. When you are building a business, it's also important that you have a good family life as well.
Wasn't he also known for regularly walking the factory floor and stopping and talking to the workers and shaking hands and actually remembering names and various details, like showing them that he cared about them? I believe that's one of the other characteristics that he was very well known for.
Always on the floor. He was always on the floor working. They were his family too, right? They were a large part of his success.
And getting paid a better wage is definitely something a lot of people want, but being appreciated and recognized is almost, and in some instances, even higher importance to the person than the wage. Because if you don't enjoy going to work, there's not enough money. But if you feel appreciated and acknowledged and recognized, you're much more likely to enjoy the environment that you're going to.
Absolutely.
Hello, awesome listener. Thank you so much for joining us today at GabTalks Success Tips from Experts. We're going to take a short break and say thank you to our sponsors. It is through the generous support of these sponsors that we are able to bring to you these amazing experts that are sharing their best tips for your success. So please listen to what our sponsors have to say, and hopefully they're going to inspire you that you're going to click their links and go support them.
It's time to take a vacation from processed foods. The ultimate lifestyle transformation kit will upgrade the way you look, feel, and perform, or will give you your money back, guaranteed. By taking a vacation from processed foods, you will detoxify your organs, cleanse your cells, and remove chemicals from your gut. And once you begin to nourish your cells and balance your hormones, you may notice increased energy, lower stress, deeper sleep, heightened mental clarity, improved digestion, and sexy lean muscle. Any of that sound interesting to you? You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. You already eat every day, and what you eat really matters. This is your chance to upgrade your food, upgrade your health, and upgrade your life.
This is Tony Stark Polici, copywriter, marketing consultant, and author. And I have a question for you. If you could take $20 and turn it into 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, would you do it? Well, you can. And it's not through gambling. It's not investing in the stock market. It's by buying this book. That's right, my book. This was voted number 9 out of the top 100 best copywriting books ever written. And I wrote it for you, for business owners, to help you write better emails, better sales copy, better advertisement, to communicate better in all of your marketing and business communications. This book will change your business and your life. Try it. You're going to love it.
So you mentioned that when you were a kid, you had to earn pretty much everything. And I get that. We weren't poor, but we certainly weren't well off. And my own allowance was what I was able to earn. Kids today don't understand the concept of earning an allowance. But if you were to go back to your younger self, what one piece of advice would you give?
I think it really comes down to doing the research and putting together a plan, or understanding that there's no such thing as a perfect plan, and just taking action.
And sometimes, when you're a kid, putting together a plan is only 2 or 3 things that you're putting out there. It doesn't have to be this 95 bullet points on the list thing.
Absolutely. Just start small and just keep moving forward. That's what a lot of people will allow the plan to prevent them from taking action.
I have been in that space plenty of times in my life where I'm planning to plan to finally eventually take action and get overwhelmed. And that's an easy place to find ourselves. So I know that you work with lots and lots of entrepreneurs in that space where they're changing careers and doing something different, and especially more so recently. So if I were to say, Eric, I'm going to make a change and I need some advice, what advice would you give me?
This may sound a little oxymoron maybe, but I tell everybody to take small bites, make sure you get enough sleep, and don't be afraid to try.
So what is that small bites? Let's go into that a little bit.
Well, so let's take it. I mean, we hear the proverbial big fat elephant, right? And how we tell people to take small bites out of the elephant, because you can't eat an elephant in one bite, right? But if you take a lot of, 1,000 small bites, then you can eventually devour the elephant, right? So take a lot of small bites. The sleep portion is so vitally important. Long ago, when in my entrepreneurial endeavors 30 years ago, it was just grind it out, keep going. If caffeine was needed, drink more, right? And it's not that way. We've learned through lots of studies, we've learned through lots of important people in our world that you need to get your sleep. Getting your sleep helps you to think better. And then doing it, just moving forward, not being afraid to try.
I have to tell you, all of those are really important because, I have found myself in deficiency in all of those spaces. I'm sure that my sleep is probably not sufficient. I find myself waking up and falling asleep and waking up and falling asleep. But what I make a point of doing is I have veg time. Almost every day I give myself 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes a little more, of just veg meditation, putting on a TV show that I don't have to think, and just allow myself to relax. So it's not sleep, but it is just downtime.
Absolutely.
And then the just do it is one of those things we talk all the time about, pushing through your fears. And I think a big thing in the entrepreneurial world is the analysis paralysis.
Absolutely.
And what do you have to share with us about that?
Well, we just let our fears to get in the way, right? We say, well, what if I fail? Or what if something doesn't go the way I want it to go? And so all of a sudden we just freeze up and we say, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I think that there is a measure of fear that you need to have, because I think fear is kind of a driver to help us to do, right? However, it's also important that we are just trying to do something. So if an idea is too big, what are the 10 things that are within that idea that, in order you do these 10 things, and that completes the big idea, right? So take one idea at a time and break it down, and then do each one. And it makes it so much easier to get past the fear, get past that analysis process that you're talking about.
On each episode of GabTalks Success Tips from Experts, we like to highlight a hero sponsor who is a business that chooses to highlight a do-good organization in their own community that is bettering the world. Today's hero sponsor is...
Hello, world. This is Z, or you can call me Mr. Z. I am a web developer, and I am also a consultant from Z World Webs. Today, I want to highlight the Spiro Foundation, because this nonprofit organization is truly dedicated to arresting the spread of human trafficking. This includes prevention, education, recovery, and of course, technology. If you would like to learn more about the Spiro Foundation, please visit their website at www.sparrow-foundation.org. And again, their website is www.sperro-foundation.org, to which sparrow is Latin for I hope. Or you may scan their QR code. The link can be found in the show notes. So with that being said, my name is Z from Z World Webs, and let's develop a website Z World is waiting for. Thank you.
Like I said, you and I was very fortunate that I got to meet you as I was pivoting, and you have given me some amazing guidance. You and I've had some really fabulous conversations, and you've helped me through my pivot. And I am so grateful that I got the opportunity to work with you. And I think that everybody needs an opportunity to be able to work with you. So will you share with us how they can reach out to you?
Best way is businessattitudes.com. That's the website, businessattitudes.com.
And that's plural attitudes.
That is correct, with an S on the end.
Awesome. And the link for that will be down below in the show notes, in the description. Make sure you click on the link. And where can we find you on social media?
Business Attitudes on Instagram is really a place where I reside.
Yep. And I know we can also reach out to you on LinkedIn as well.
Eric J. Erickson. That's how it shows. Eric J. Erickson.
With the J, because there's other Eric Ericksons out there. Absolutely.
Unfortunately.
Yes, but you are my favorite Eric Erickson.
Thank you.
And I think everybody else as well need to have a conversation with you and see how you can help them. And so I know you have a really interesting, unique, and cool offer to share with our audience when they do reach out to you. And what is that offer, please?
I actually offer a free 37-minute consultation where you can ask me anything that you want about business, and I will answer it for you.
And I think people always ask you, why 37 minutes?
It's an old sales psychology trick back from the 1980s and 90s, where anytime you put an odd number or you present an odd number, the brain has to work that extra nanosecond to remember the odd number. Therefore, people remember my 37-minute consultation.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there is the fact that the first 7 minutes are spent asking and talking about why 37, and then they get a really 30 minutes of a consultation.
That does happen sometimes.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for joining me today. You guys, his links will be down below. Click on those links, reach out, get yourself your 37-minute consultation with Eric. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Make sure you set your reminder so you know when our next episode is publishing. Hey, thanks so much for watching. We hope you got value today. We want to give a huge shout out of gratitude to our contributors. Please make sure you click the subscribe button below, and don't forget to click the bell up above to get reminders when we add new content.